Hey everyone, Kyle Mike here from MLive.com. I'm joined as always by Justin Rogers. We're at the Lions training facility after the first day of practice. And Justin, the big news of today, surprisingly, wasn't what happened on the field, but what happened away from it. Martin Mayhew and Tom Lawand announcing that they were cutting off negotiations with Ndamukong Suh and his agent over the new contract. And so, this has been a drawn-out process from the start. Mayhew said early in the offseason he expected something to be done as soon as by the start of free agency. We're 5 months later and still nothing's done, and now there's no more contract negotiations until after the season. What do you make of the news today and how it was handled?
I didn't see it as contentious. I don't think it was a malicious cutting off saying we're done talking to you. They're going to reconvene after the season. I have to look at it and say they didn't like what Suh was looking for. And at this stage, they want to just let it play out. They've seen some other guys go to free agency, not get the bucks they were expecting. And, they'll let them test the waters at this stage. I don't expect this deal to get done before the opening of free agency. So they'll let them test the waters, see what the market will play out. And, I truly believe they still want to re-sign him. They've said that all along. I don't think that's changed. But they'll see if they can get a discount instead of overpaying without any competition.
And Suh himself hasn't said very much about where his head's at. He said from the start that he doesn't want to talk about it, and that's his right to say that and to do that. But the longer this goes on, the way this is headed, sometimes I get the impression that this is what he's wanted all along: is the chance to test free agency, and that's where we're headed now. He says he wants to be in Detroit long term. I think in a lot of ways it makes the most sense for him. But at the same time, I think he wants to go on that open market and see what's available to him, and he's who knows what he's asking for, but it has to be a lot because he says he wants to be here long term. The Lions want him long term, want him here long term, and it's in their best interest to retain him. And I think this thing is definitely headed toward free agency of next year.
From people I've talked to close to the situation, the impression I've gotten is he's wanted a shorter-term deal. The salary cap is expected to grow significantly over the next few years as the TV revenue continues to kick in, and maybe that was something that didn't quite appeal to the Lions, and that'll be a more difficult sell on the free agency market. You won't be able to find as many eager suitors lining up to give you a 2-year deal as opposed to locking you up under team control for 5, and I wonder if that played at least some part in this decision.
For me, an interesting wrinkle in the whole situation is the timing of this announcement. Mayhew said that they came to this decision as much as a couple of weeks ago or so, that this is how they were going to handle it, and yet they had an opportunity. They could have announced this on Sunday, the day before camp. Jim Caldwell was speaking, 2 players were speaking, and they knew Suh was going to be a topic, and we asked those questions, and they said what they could say at the time. But they didn't announce that this is where they were going to go, that they were stopping negotiations, and they made it the story on Monday, the day of training camp and the start of camp. And for a lot of fans, this is a very festive day, and football's back, and you see guys running around catching balls and that kind of thing. And for a team that's changed coaching staffs and there's a lot of optimism around the team, you made the first day of camp a negative storyline, or at least a headline with a lot of scrutiny and so forth with one of your star players. And I thought that was kind of an interesting way of handling it. I'm sure there's a reason they did, but I'm at a loss for figuring out why they made today the day of Suh as opposed to training camp.
This is a little bit earlier in the offseason, our training camp, than Mayhew does talk. Clearly I think this was a driving force on why they pushed up that date to kind of nip it in the bud early. You look at that first day, you look at Sunday, and Raiola and Tulloch and Caldwell all had to face questions about Suh, something that he admittedly today doesn't like, the fact that other teammates and coaches are having to ask. He asked us to stop asking his teammates those questions. But, the question was, is it a distraction? All the players insist no, but by the fact that it's a question and it's constantly a topic, it is a distraction. And the team made that decision in part because they wanted to eliminate the distraction. They wanted to give Caldwell and this team every chance to succeed without Suh and Suh's contract weighing down the conversation.
Yeah, Mayhew said as much, which I thought was telling. He was asked why cut it off now and not keep negotiating. He just said, partly it's because you don't know how the player's going to handle it until he's in that situation, and they wanted to avoid that going down that path, but he also said he just wanted the focus to be on the team and the games and to having as successful season as possible. And I think that speaks to the distraction it would have been with teammates and so forth being asked about a contract of one-year players, and now they just don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to be talking about it here after maybe another day or two as we filter through all the information. But that's the end. There's nothing for us to talk about. It's a stalemate. It's been tabled, as they like to say. So we're not going to reconvene on this issue until December. So they successfully done what they've wanted to. It's a roll of the dice by both Suh and the organization not to reach an agreement. He's risking his big contract if something were to happen with his health this year, and teams risking on losing one of the most dominant defensive players in the league.
There were almost 90 other players on the field today besides Ndamukong Suh. First day of practice, just running through those real quickly. I think Calvin Noy is a story that you watched and we both watched. He left practice early, eventually came back to the sideline, but didn't do a lot of stuff after that with a thumb injury, just something to keep an eye on going forward. Who were you impressed by today? Just one guy that caught your eye in the first day of practice.
It's a guy we're watching, and it's Darius Slay. He had a one-on-one session with Calvin Johnson and got beat badly right out the gate. Like to say, broke his ankles. Faked outside, went inside, and Slay was stumbling all over himself. But he recovered really nicely. Had a couple nice pass breakups. Was extremely physical. It's the breakout year for a reason for him. Everybody expects it. He's got a lot of weight on his shoulders, but he seems up to the challenge and ready to break out.
I saw the same thing. He was the one guy I thought caught my eye today, and so much is being expected of him this year. Lions don't have a ton of options if he doesn't pan out. With Chris Houston gone and no significant upgrades to the cornerback core, so they're really counting on Rasheed Mathis and Darius Slay to be the guys. I think they should be very pleased with where Darius Slay is at this early point in camp. For Justin Rogers, I'm Kyle Meinke. We're MLive. We'll be here all week from Lions training camp. Keep it right here.